You have to just keep filling that tank, and it's going to be slow, but you're going to get there. Give yourself time. That's fair. You're not going to get a result in 2 weeks or a month. You got to have the consistency and give yourself some patience. Love on yourself. It's okay. You're doing better than you were, and so just have the confidence that you will change. You will. You just got to stay consistent. And whether that's once or twice a week, just start building.
All right, what's happening, everyone? John here, Chief Motivator at Method3 Fitness, and I'm here with one of our amazing partners, Sharon Miller, who has been a partner of ours for now over 15 years, which is, it's just crazy to say it. I mean, it's like every time and we're coming up on a few others that are hitting 15 years, and I have to pinch myself. I'm like, wow, okay, this has been longer. Like, these people I've known, like, just as long as I've known my wife. Like, this is crazy. Before I had kids and all this other stuff. And so it's, yeah, I know, right? So it's just, it's surreal. It's an honor. It's a pleasure. And I'm grateful to have such amazing people in this community, you being one of them. And today we have to talk about just you, which is great. So 15 years. I'm gonna reflect back on when we first met, which I believe was when I was at a health club, and I was starting ultimately what I started to coin FAT, fast action training, right?
Yeah.
And you had come in. It was like a little small group class I was doing, I think, right? Yeah. And that was when we first met, and you first started doing some workouts with me. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Awesome.
Upstairs in the dark.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah. I remember making like mixed CDs with like the songs that I was going to play for you guys, and had to like put it in the back to like get some tunes rolling, and like, oh man, that was a blast. I love it. Humble beginnings. And so we went from there, and then subsequently I was able to secure that little spot at Eclipse Tanning and Fitness, tanning on one side, fitness on the other. And then you came and joined over there, correct? Okay. And the rest is history, man. I mean, we were there for a year, and then we went to like the other studio. Then we've kind of slowly added little studios and stuff as we've gone. And yeah, you've had quite the journey since. I think what is also really cool about that journey is, you and I developed a really close relationship, and you got really used to me being your coach. And I'll never forget, I think it was Kevin was the next in line. And it was like, John, I don't know about this Kevin guy. I'm used to you. I'd like to have you. And I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to do this, Sharon, still. And it was like, we did an experiment. You're like, okay, Kevin's going to work. He's going to work out. It's going to be okay. I'm like, okay, great. And then now fast forward again, and you're coaching with Justin right now, right? Which is great. I'm grateful that you've been open to, because as partners, we all know that, especially within personal training, within group as well, we all have our like people we kind of attach to, or personalities, vibe, or whatever. But definitely within personal training, there's there's a flair, there's a personality, there's the workouts that are designed that partners get kind of used to, right? And they enjoy. And then there's the relationship kind of added on top of that. And so it can be challenging to change. And so I'm grateful that you were A, willing to change, and then B, that we had suitable coaches that met your needs along the way, right? Which is so great. So thanks so much for connecting, chatting. I mean, I wanted to do a quick synopsis of the 15 years right there and summarize, but tell me what has been, let's just start with the first time we started coaching and training, right? Way back when. I'm going to ask you to kind of like rewind, and I'd love to know like what brought you there? Like why were you coaching there? What were the problems you were facing? The struggles you were having, and why did you, take a chance on me at that time?
Well, I remember I really liked your style. When we did that class up in the dark, the challenge of it and the speed of it. I felt like I was doing both, getting cardio and strength training and having fun.
Excellent. Yes. Yep.
And so that's what really got me excited. It's kind of like I like that speed of things a little bit.
Sure. Yep.
And so I thought, okay, this is a pace that I really like. I had been doing outdoor workouts that were always having me go up the hills and challenging me in ways like that. So I was used to moving like that, but I needed more strength training. And so that's how we started.
What were you?
And I remember then we brought in the TRX, which I really love doing the TRX.
Yes. Yes.
And that.
And what was the reasons you kind of wanted to start coaching? Like, what were some of the things, the goals you had, the challenges you had, struggles you were facing? What were some of those at that time?
Well,
Yeah.
life was really, when I look back 15 years ago, what I was doing then, how my family was then, the challenges of family. And I remember most of the time I was coming here, I felt like a lot for my mind. Just to get that break of just being able to focus on myself and doing something healthy for me. And then I'd leave here and it would all go to hell.
And that happened. We have those periods of time. Yes. Yes. And I do remember having some chats with you about that, where I was, happy and grateful that you were carving out that space for you. And I think sometimes that was the struggle we talked about, because, with almost every single partner we have, right? I discussed that, like, whether it's weight loss, body fat loss, all these things, it's never linear, and it's never just this straight shot, right? Because there's just a multitude of other factors regarding not just the fitness, but the nutrition, the sleep, the hydration, the stress, because all these things have this effect within your body that you may not really even be aware of. And it's like, oh, why am I not losing weight? Why am I doing this? And I remember having some talks with you about that, because it would fluctuate, right? Yeah. And trying to come back to what you just said, which is, at that point, the workouts, yes, we may have had some goals that were like that with strength or weight or body fat or whatever, but it was really that you were carving out time for you.
Yeah.
It was a sacred space. It was a positive space. And that's one of the cheesy things I've always said is, like, Method3 is we're the beacon of positivity, right?
Yeah.
That attract people in, so that if we can just fill your cup with a little dose, that when you leave here, you get to then bring that to your day, your people, your life.
Right. The support.
Yeah.
Was, on things that really sometimes didn't have to do with my fitness. It had to do with just supporting me
with life.
As a mom.
Yeah. I know, man. I remember those chats. So, okay. So that's kind of the role it filled for you there. And, we fast forward, we're into new studios. Now we're years into the mix. You still stayed consistent, right? And so I think that's one of the things I want to ask you about, because I think for a lot of people that can be the struggle is, it's like anything, right? This whole thing of weight loss, whatever, it's not linear. Sometimes people can be all or nothing with some of this, right? I go all in and I'm going like, hey, I haven't worked out in 5 years. I'm going to go 5 days a week, or 6 days for an hour. And it's like, and you've kind of just been over all the years, you've really been just consistent. And I feel like now, especially seeing this, it's like, you get to see the fruit of that. You get to reap what you sow and everything, because it's that consistency and those small incremental changes done over time that I've always said, like, yield the best long-term result, right? And you were like a poster child of that. So, who would have thought, right? But I'm so proud of you. So tell me about what went through your head, Sharon, like, because I'm sure with life and everything else, there's days you did not want to come in whatsoever. There's days where you weren't feeling the best, or stuff comes up, or financial things come up, or whatever it is. And yet you still always made it a priority, like, no matter what.
Yeah.
And so tell me about that. Tell me how you were able to do that. Like, what was going through your head to say, like, no, like, come hell or high water, this is going to happen, right? These workouts, this consistency, these people, this area, the support. How did you do that? Talk more about how you made that consistency happen.
Well, it's the accountability. I just felt I had a commitment that I had to keep to myself and to keep to Method3 or fast action training. I didn't want to let myself down. I didn't want to let fast action training down. I knew if I didn't stick with that, I was not going to be getting a result. Whether it was going to be for my mind, body, spirit, everything.
Yeah.
I had to be doing something to take care of me. And I always felt comfortable coming in here, even if I was on a low.
Yeah.
And I never felt shamed or like, where have you been, or anything like that. It was always welcoming. It's always welcoming. It's family to me. And I think that's showing up for my family.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And,
yeah.
So so it really was about, not letting us down, yourself down, knowing that it was such a safe, supportive space for you.
Yeah. Also showing my family.
Yeah.
That you've got to do this.
Modeling for your family as well. Is that what you're saying? Yeah. Yep. Yep. I 100% agree.
Example, an example. Even
Um,
if I was, it looks like I was about 40 pounds heavier.
that is what I was going to get to as well. I honestly, it didn't even dawn on me, right? Well, until I was looking at some of your numbers and thinking, wow, those are some of the numbers that I remember, way back when too. And then to see what they are now. So for everyone watching this amazing woman here has been on this journey and is now, you know, 40 pounds lighter.
Didn't happen overnight. We know
I
that.
mean, 11, 12, 13% body fat lower. And yet what I love, because that's what I love, like the machine we're able to utilize and hopefully, we'll continue to have things like this to measure some of this, is that, the weight and the body fat are important, but that lean muscle is so important. And that out of all those pounds, you've lost maybe a smidgen of lean body mass, right? That's the most incredible part. Many people, when they go on these journeys, if they're not doing resistance training, if it's not progressive and challenging, they could lose 40 pounds. They could lose like 20 pounds of muscle, right? And that's horrible for their metabolism, for their movement, for all this stuff. And so to mitigate that it just shows that like you can actually like lose this and get stronger. And, these things can all happen if you're doing it the right way, if you're doing it over time, if you're doing it with a coach that gets it and will challenge and progress you the right way. But I did want to highlight that over those years now, 40 pounds down, like I said, 11, 12, 13% body fat down. I mean, how do you feel right now? Can you remember what it felt like 40 pounds heavier? Do you remember what that felt like?
I think it was heavy everywhere. Heavy
Yeah.
in my body, heavy in my mind, just
Mm.
just feeling heavy.
Yeah. And I'm
Like,
sure just the body overall, life was heavy, body felt heavy. I'm sure the joints, I remember the back and things like that would pop
yeah,
up.
it's
Yeah.
I have to tell you, the other day I was with my family. We're all sitting in the kitchen, and all the bar stools were taken up. And I thought, maybe I'll see if I can jump on the counter. You know how people just lift themselves up on the counter? And my kids are watching me, and I'm over in the corner, and I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to do this. And I pulled I like
It just
flew
popped up. Boom.
it flew up. And my family's watching me. We started laughing. I swear I came this much higher off the counter, and it was so shocking. It was one of the highlights. I just can't even
Oh
imagine
my gosh.
to witness that. We just all started laughing because I just didn't think I was going to be able to do it.
I love it. I
And
love
it
it.
was like, wow, that
Yeah.
was just incredible. It brought a lightness to everything.
Yeah.
It was 40 pounds ago. I could not have done that.
Right.
And so that was really, really something. One of the highlights, and for my family to witness that.
Oh my goodness, I'll bet. And so what are some of the other like tangible, I mean, obviously there's things like, okay, you lose that, that weight, that body fat, you're looking better, you're feeling better, clothes, you're like excited to buy, all these different things, right? So what are some of these other benefits, whether it's the tangible ones you're seeing or the ones that are like you're discovering, like popping yourself up onto a counter? What
Yeah.
are some of those other benefits you've now discovered?
Okay, well, a year ago, I was going to physical therapy twice a week for my back.
Yeah, that's right. You're back. Yeah.
And then it was to my shoulder, and some things were really aching. And the doctor was telling me that I needed to have a transfusion for my back. And
Wow.
he said, we might as well just do the whole back. That was pretty scary.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's when I thought, had started working with Justin, and that's when we talked about it. And he really kind of adjusted my workout and how I was going to strengthen my other body parts to support my back.
Yeah.
And that has just been huge.
Wow.
And so
Wow.
to be able to just move around now and not every day talk about my back,
Yeah.
not being able to function, that has just been so enlightening and so fun and freeing.
Oh, I can't. Well, I can imagine. And the reason is because in 2020, it was like, which I know it was a hard year for everybody, but it was like the gym gets shut down from the pandemic. And then within 3 months, I had herniated my back and my L5S1. So I was like, I just felt like I was getting kicked while I was down. Right. And I couldn't, it's amazing how debilitating that can be. And then it's funny, I just did a workout the other day and you mentioned the word freeing. And I literally wrote down in my gratitude journal how I'm so grateful for like how my body was able to recover, how I was able to do the work like you've done, and how like grateful I am for how it can move every single day. I know you should never ask a lady her age. I'm going to. Can you tell me again how many years young you are?
I'm 68.
8, and just crushing it in and out of the studio now. I absolutely love it. I mean, and this you like personify what we think and talk about when it means living stronger for today. I mean, what we live for at Method 3 is to create outcomes like this. I'm going to cry. Gosh, dang it. I just, to see and witness your journey over the years, to know the struggles you've had in and out of the studio.
Yeah.
To see the changes you've made now, and like to know that you're 68 years young and just loving life, doing things, popping yourself up in the counter. I mean,
how I feel.
I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled. This is what it should be, right? This is what we quest for. Like everyone should want to do, because you get to go do life the way you want to do life. You're not restricted by things, right? And so, gosh, what a blessing. That's just amazing.
This year I had to have 2 major surgeries, full hysterectomy, and I had
my goodness.
I had a hiatal hernia, which is where your stomach goes up into your esophagus.
Oh, wow. Jeez.
And so both times, they recommend 6 weeks out and that type of stuff. But my recovery was so quick.
Wow.
And that was totally amazing too, just to know that, because as we get older, things are going to start falling apart internally.
Yeah.
Sometimes, and I could recover with no problem. And that was really, really cool, because
that is amazing.
Down for quite a while and discourage you and all of that. But I mean, I could hardly wait.
Yeah. That is amazing. And you're right. I see that happening. I mean, you see it happening every day with people where you have conversations and they had a surgery or a fall or an injury, and it's like they've never fully recovered from it, whether that's physically or most likely mentally, where they haven't been able to kind of get back where they were. And it's one of those things where if you could maintain where you're at right now with that type of strength and things like that, even if it's not like, oh, I'm not getting like 1,000, degrees stronger, but I'm maintaining my strength and my mobility and everything else into each successive decade. I mean, what a way to live, It's just, I absolutely love it. It's just so good. So good. So what are some of your highlights when you think back over the years, your experience, your time with Method 3? I know there's a lot of them, but, if you could just briefly think through a few highlights that you had, moments, coaching moments, coaches, that you've, coached with, obviously, Justin, Kevin. I know one that comes to mind right now that I'll share in a second. Just things you really like, think through, like,
too.
Oh, that's right. Yes. Yeah.
For years.
Yeah.
A lot of that was learning to stretch my body. It was all about trying to protect my back and like this. And so I would really come for stretching. And I really appreciated all her patience and listening and, focusing on what I needed to do, not making me do something somebody else was doing. She was aware of what my limits were. Yeah. And that was really super too.
Excellent.
But then I realized I needed to get more strength. And so that has just, focusing on that, the intentions have just been, like dialed in. And that's really
awesome. Well, and to your point, it is a good balance with that. And Yvonne is absolutely spectacular as it relates to, truly listening. She's a fantastic listener and understanding people's bodies and what's going to be necessary to help them move better. Because it's always a combination, right? The strength is awesome. We still got to have that little flare of mobility and this and all these different things. I was just thinking back, actually, one of my favorite memories is, well, 2 things. One, whenever I coached you in a group class, I could always count on sometime at least during that session, that 45 minutes, once, if not twice, I get the Sharon yell, right? Yep. Which was always a fan favorite. Loved it. I was like, yes, we're on track today. That's good.
That still comes out. I don't know what it is, but it's a release.
Oh, perfect. Well, it's a you. That's great. And I think the other one was you had, I can't even remember if it was just like a wager or if it was something, but it was with Kevin, and he had to dress up, I think, in country gear and play country music the entire time, because we all know you're a country fan. And I will never forget that awesome session, the beautiful photos that we took, right? It was just Such a great memory. Yeah.
Well, that's funny because I was telling Justin, you guys would allow me to listen to country one time a year, and that was on my birthday. Kevin came in with his cowboy boots on, and that was just the best. That
That
was
was the best.
right. But you know what? Now I listen to country on all my workouts, and
I
that's
could,
really super.
I heard it in the videos. I was like, oh, we got the country rocking over there. Okay, perfect.
Yeah, that's been a lot of fun. Yeah.
So, Sharon, we talked about the consistency. We talked about your amazing results. What else are some of the things that you think have led to such great results over time for you, sustaining those results? Because I want people to hear not just about the success you've had. I want them to also hear like kind of where you've come from, the challenges you had. It wasn't all rainbows and unicorns, right? Both in the studio and outside the studio. And now that you've been able to but throughout that time, you stuck with it, right? You made it a priority. You modeled that for people in your life as well. Even if it wasn't producing some crazy outcome, it was still giving you a lot, I think, here and here.
Yes.
But over time, you've been able to get these amazing results as well. It's been a dedication to your workouts, your strength. What else has really helped you get there?
Okay, well, Thrive
Awesome.
was very enlightening, and that has given me a foundation to look at.
Yep.
The learning from that, how to do our numbs.
Yep. The meals, the units. And so what Sharon's
Yes.
referring to for the non-Method 3ers it's kind of our nutrition coaching program where we're truly just trying to coach, teach, empower people with how to eat balanced meals, right? I'd say with a little bit more protein sometimes than people are used to per the normal American diet, but which multiple studies will show that like that protein is so essential, especially for older adults and ones that are doing strength training, right? So that we can build and maintain this amazing muscle and, get results like you have. So that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah. So I still use those calculations,
Love it.
and it's always in the back of my mind. Still go and get some meals from the place over there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that support and seeing results from other people that they've accomplished, it does work. And
Yes.
it's easy for your lifestyle.
And I think it's one of those things where, again, over time, right, when people start something new, I always think of like the stages of learning. It's like, I don't know that I don't know. Now I know that I don't know, right? So it's like these things where you're starting to learn, and you've kind of gone towards more of like the level 3, level 4, where it's probably part of it is just, unconscious, where you're doing things for your nutrition, your workouts, but it's just you're on autopilot, right?
Yeah.
Which is a great place to get to, right? It takes time, but it's such a great place to get to because, gosh, I mean, not only do you look fantastic, but I'm sure you feel absolutely great, and it just compounds. And you're like, well, man, I want to hang on to this. This is all going great. So
Exactly.
I got to keep this rolling. Yeah,
I think that's true. To avoid any type of slip backs, you're going to have
totally.
But when you start to see the results, you don't really want to, you can't go.
Yeah, absolutely. So what would you say to people, that are starting their journey, that are yet to start their journey, that are maybe where you were 15 years ago, 40 pounds ago, they're skeptical, they've tried 1,000 things, they're worried, they're nervous, right? Because so many people we meet, I mean, there's honestly, even though Method 3 is like this beautiful place filled with love and support, people are still intimidated, right? And they're worried, and they're like, what if this doesn't work? And what if this? There's all these things going through their head, right? What would you say to them? What advice would you give them, or your former self before you did all this?
Well, I always use the analogy every day is like a drop in the bucket. You have to just keep filling that tank, and it's going to be slow, but you're going to get there. You give yourself time. That's fair. You're not going to get a result in 2 weeks or a month. Yeah. I mean, I'd always say to Kevin, okay, I got a party coming up. I got to drop these 10 pounds, He could just laugh at me. And it's like, I thought I could do it if I ran faster, if I worked out harder, if I didn't eat, that doesn't work.
Yeah.
You got to have the consistency and give yourself the patience. Love on yourself. It's okay. You're doing better than you were. And so just have the confidence that you will change. You will. You just got to stay consistent. And whether that's once or twice a week, just start building.
Yep. I think that's awesome. So, I mean, I think that self-love component that is really important, and that ability for people to kind of see the bigger picture of the consistency of just doing, I always tell people, even if they're just doing the workouts, if you're just working out twice a week, and you compound that over a year, it's 100 plus workouts that you did for your body, for your spirit, for your mind that you weren't doing before.
Yeah.
You know, it's just, even just that will give you a positive, benefit and result. And now you can start to stack the other things on top of it. So Sharon, this has been awesome. Yo, go ahead. What's up?
Last year, because I had missed, for my surgeries, and I was in the hospital another 4 times, whatever, it doesn't matter. But when I saw my numbers, like 130 something workouts in that year, I was like, just like I say,
yeah,
that was incredible. Like, what? And I even had these little setbacks, but look what I still came to 100 plus workouts. What?
So amazing. I love it. That's what it takes, is that kind of dedication. Well, you're a legend in our community. I love you so much. I'm so grateful for you and all those years. I'm excited to continue to celebrate 15 plus. And thank you so much for joining me and sharing your story and chatting.
Well, thank you for supporting me all the way.
Yes.
You have been a star that I've always looked at. And I thank you so much for hanging in there with me.
It's my pleasure. It's our pleasure as a community, as a team. And I can't wait to see you next time I'm down there.
Okay, great. Thanks, John.
All right. See you later, Sharon.
Goodbye. Thanks.